We've done league phase predictions for both the Champions League and the Europa League over the past 2 weeks. But today, lads, it's time to complete the trilogy because upon the return of the Europa Conference League, I will be doing my league phase predictions for the Europa Conference League. Same as always, predicting where every single team is going to finish or at least attempt in doing so anyway. From right at the bottom in 36th place all the way up to who I'm going to say will top the league phase. Now, don't expect this to be too accurate, obviously, because A, it's very hard, nearly impossible to predict the league phase anyway, and B, obviously, I do not know much about the majority of teams in this competition. However, we'll give it a go anyway. It's all about the fun at the end of the day. These will probably look stupid in a couple months' time. However, hopefully, I don't do too bad here. So, as always, lads, remember to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying all my content. And if you have not yet done so, remember, of course, to like the video. Really does go a long way to give me as much support as possible. Click the bell so you never miss out one of my latest uploads. Also, remember to share this video to as many people as possible to really push this video, push the algorithm out there as well. And so then, lads, let's get into this Europa Conference League phase predictions. So, unlike the Champions League and Europa League predictions, I'm going to try and make this one a wee bit more quick fire, especially starting off at the sides. I'm going to say get knocked out of the league phase. Starting off then in rock bottom, 36th place, finishing on 0 points. I have got from Malta, Hammer and Spartans, and in 35th place, also on 0 points, I've got the Armenian side, FC Noah. In 34th place then, on 1 point, I'm going to say it is the Finnish side, Coops. 33rd place then, on 2 points, I got KF Drita. 32nd then, on 3 points, is how I'm going to say will actually win a game, is Lincoln Radams from Gibraltar. However, even though they will get a historic victory, they're still going to get knocked out. And that's going to be the exact same for 31st place from Iceland, Bradabik as well. They'll get a victory from somewhere, 3 points on the board, but will also get knocked out. In 30th place then, also on 3 points, another side on 3 points, the Cyprian side, AEK Larnaca. Maybe got a slightly more experience than a couple of the sides below them. However, they're still not good enough to get through to the knockouts, and so they get knocked out of the league phase as well. 29th place then, I've got Skandia also finishing at 3 points, and in 28th place, out in 4 points, I've got a side here desperately struggling at the minute in the Scottish Premiership. It is Aberdeen, and lads, I cannot see Aberdeen surviving the league phase, honestly, especially looking at the current form they've got now. They have got a good squad in there, obviously, as they did demonstrate last season. I mean, they won the Scottish Cup, defeating Celtic in the final there to finish off what was a very successful year last year domestically. And so when they return to Europe, they definitely will be hoping to really put a massive effort in, as they did a couple of years ago back in their last appearance in the Conference League. But honestly, lads, their current form under Jimmy Thelen as manager, they're currently rock bottom, I do believe, winless so far in the Scottish Premiership. That could change with him. This video is out, I'm not too sure, but still, overall, the side isn't terrible form. They do have players, yes, and who knows, maybe by the half of a stage or something, for example, maybe for the majority of this competition, Aberdeen does get a new manager who really starts playing good football with them, and who knows, maybe Aberdeen do pull a couple of massive results here and there and manage to somehow claw their way into the knockouts. However, the fact they're playing very poor at the minute, that combined with the fact they've actually got a very tough run of fixtures as well, I don't hold much faith on Aberdeen advancing. So in 20th place on 4 points, I've got the Scottish side, Aberdeen. Unfortunately, the Dons will not be advancing and will get knocked out in the league phase. In 27th place then on 5 points, I've got the Romanian side, Universitatea Craiova. I think I'm saying that right anyway. I'm also pretty sure this could be their first ever appearance in the European competition, so it's not too bad of a position there for Craiova, but still, they're going to get knocked out again. In 26th place then, this one is a bit hard for me to say, but on 6 points I'm going to say actually, but this side, they'll fight really hard, they'll do all they can, however, they're just about going to fall short come the end. It's going to be the Irish side making their European competition debut, Shelburne. Yes, Shelburne. They were very good during the qualifying campaign. They saw off Linfield twice, even got a historic victory in Croatia against Rijeka, which, I mean, I tell you what, to see an Irish side to defeat a side like Rijeka, it's a massive achievement there, of course. However, the factor in the Conference League is a massive achievement in itself. Obviously, they're one of the best teams at the minute in Ireland, of course, got a couple very good players in there, such as Mipo Odubeko and the striker, of course. And overall, even though Damien Duff is no longer the manager, they still are going very well. And I do believe they will be in the running to make the at least the knockouts, in my opinion. I do believe they definitely will be in the reckoning for sure. However, I'm going to say they just about do fall short. A couple losses here and there, a couple heavy losses here and there maybe as well, will prevent them. They'll get 1 or 2 wins here and there, which is going to go massive for them. However, I do believe when they're playing sides like AZ and Palace, those types of games are going to cost them big time. And ultimately Shelburne, even though they'll really try hard, even though they'll put 110% effort in, and 100% sure of that, they're going to just about fall short here, heartbreakingly, and finish finish in 26th place and 6 points. However, it is going to be a campaign for their fans to be proud of anyway. And the finish off the sides, I'm going to say who will not advance to the knockouts. It is in 25th place, also in 6 points, a Polish side, Rakow Zestochowa. Once again, another side who will be in the running to try getting into the knockouts, but once again, it's going to be a side in a case of falling too short in the end of the day. So in 25th place, and the final side getting knocked out before the knockout stage, I've got Rakow from Poland. Now then, on to the sides who I'm going to say will just about scrape through into the knockouts, starting off in 24th place, also in 6 points, just about getting ahead of Rakow and Shelburne. I've got Slovan Bratislava here, played in the Champions League last year, and actually have got a very good squad there. However, I'm going to say they'll start off the campaign pretty slowly, and that's going to put them in a bit of danger here. However, they still have a good enough quality there, and even though it's going to be by the skin of their teeth, I still do believe Bratislava will have enough to advance into the knockouts. And the same can be said then for 23rd place, also in 6 points, Rapid Vienna from Austria. I do believe this side will still get through, regardless of how easy or hard it's going to be. However, I'm going to say, regardless of a per start, I'm going to say similar to Bratislava, Rapid Vienna will pick it up and will just about do enough then to scrape through alongside Bratislava by the skin of their teeth, also on 6 points. And 22nd then, and 7 points actually, a side who actually did do pretty good last year, might have even made it as far as the quarterfinals. NK Celia, very, very impressive last year, I have to say. They're back in competition this year, and I do believe they definitely will get into the knockout. So I'm going to say they finished 22nd on 7 points, and the same can be said for 21st place, a side who I just mentioned there a few minutes ago when talking about Shelburne. It is, of course, the Croatian side, Rijeka. I do believe they still have got a decent side. They still are one of the top teams in Croatia as well, and I do believe they should still have enough quality and their team to just about scrape through as well into the knockouts. And 20th place in 8 points, another team from Cyprus. This time they're going to go through, and it is Omonia Nicosia. I do believe Omonia are a decent side when it comes to the Conference League. They've proven that over the past number of years. They've got a couple decent players in there, of course, and overall I do believe they will have enough in the tank to get through to the knockouts then. In 20th place, and in 19th place, also in 8 points, they've got the Bosnian side, Zrinjski Mostar. I think they're a very decent side. I think they probably are the best side in Bosnia as well at the minute too, so I'm expecting big things from them, of course. I do believe they definitely will excel well, and I do believe they will also manage to qualify for the knockouts. 18th place then, and 9 points, I've got the Ukrainian side, Dynamo Kiev here. I think Dynamo Kiev, yes, they're not the same side they were back a few years ago when they were playing in the Champions League. Yes, the quality of their side has fallen off big time. However, they still are a decent enough side, and still are the side who I expect to qualify for the knockouts. Yes, so Dynamo Kiev then coming in 18th place, and in 17th place then another side on 9 points. Even though it was hard for me to predict Shelburne to get knocked out, I still do believe another side from Ireland will qualify for the knockouts pretty comfortably, and that side is going to be another Dublin based side, Shamrock Rovers. Obviously Shamrock Rovers last year in the Conference League were absolutely fantastic, and were very unlucky not to make the round of 16. Losing the Molde there in penalties in heartbreaking fashion too was very, very hard to watch. However, they did themselves proud last year, and I do believe they're prepared under Stephen Bradley. They're playing fantastic football. They've got a couple of very good players in there, such as Ricardo Lopez or Pico Lopez, and centre back, for example, Jack Byrne too. Overall, they've got a couple of good players in there, I do believe. I still do believe they're the best side at the minute in Ireland too, and I do believe after the last year's successes in Europe that Shamrock Rovers will only continue to push onwards and upwards. I'm going to say once again it's going to be a successful league phase, as for the second year running Shamrock Rovers will qualify for the knockouts of the Conference League. 16th place then, another side who will finish in 9 points. It is BK Häcken from Sweden, another decent side, of course. I think they were doing decent enough in Europe last year. I think they might have even been in the Europa League last year, so that definitely would have been good experience for them. Regardless, I still do believe, whatever European competition they were in, I still do believe they were doing decent enough. So Häcken then will go into 16th place. The next two sides then, just like the previous three, will also be on 9 points. Next team in 15th place is the Turkish side, Samsunspor. Definitely a decent enough side there, of course. I do believe they have managed to dethrone teams such as Galatasaray and Fenerbahce from time to time in the Turkish league as well. So overall, I do believe they have good quality in their team, and I'm going to say they will also finish in 9 points. On a 14th place then, the side is going to top all the sides finishing in 9 points. It is the Spanish side, Rayo Vallecano. Now maybe people would think a Spanish side from La Liga and Rayo Vallecano should be finishing slightly higher, maybe pushing for a top 8 spot, and that's completely understandable. However, I do believe Rayo Vallecano just aren't quite at the same level as the sides above them, in my opinion. They've got a couple of good players in there, such as AC Palazon, I think his name is. I believe he's actually their star player. He definitely should be a tricky winger here in the competition. However, I do believe overall Rayo Vallecano just don't have too much quality on the side. They still will comfortably qualify for the knockouts, but still they're not going to push for top 8 and will settle battle then for 14th place on 9 points. And then at 13th place on 10 points just above them, I've gone for the Czech Republic side. Sigma, Olomouc, haha, very funny joke there. But they're a decent enough side. However, Sigma, they're just going to Sigma their way to 13th place here. That was horrible. I'm sorry, lads. And in 12th place then, also on 10 points, but just about toppling Sigma. To this point, I'm going to go for Lech Poznan from Poland. Lech Poznan are a decent side. They can score plenty of goals. They did pretty good last time they're in Europe. I think they might have been in the Conference League last year. I'm not too sure. However, still, Polish sides in the Conference League always do well. Lech Poznan have a lot of quality on their side, and I'm going to say then they will finish in 12th place pretty comfortably here in the end. And 11th place then in 12 points, I've actually got another side from Poland. This time it was a side who I definitely remember were very good in last year's Conference League. It is Jagiellonia Bialystok. I'm not even going to really count a second name, but Jagiellonia anyway is how I always refer to them last year. And I mean, Jagiellonia last year, they were so good in the Conference League. I think they might have made it as far as the quarterfinals last year. But I mean, I just remember every single game they were just scoring goals left, right, and centre. They're just such a fantastic attacking side. And so once again, I'm expecting big things from the Polish side this year. I'm going to say both them and Lech Poznan will do very well, but Jagiellonia will just about finish above them and a comfortable 11th place on 12 points. Into the top 10 now, starting off in 10th place from Switzerland, I've got Lausanne Sport on 13 points here. Now, Lausanne Sport clearly are a side not to mess with, of course. They managed to knock out Besiktas in the qualifiers, which led to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's sacking. And this Besiktas side, lads, I mean, they're not the best side in the world. However, they've got good players in there, such as Tommy Abraham, for example, as a striker. So clearly, this Lausanne Sport team, Besiktas would have been heavy favourites there in that tie. So the fact the Swiss side managed to get out of that one and qualify for the league phase does show you that this team might mean business. So in my opinion, actually, Lausanne Sport are going to be very good this year. One of the big underdogs this year in the Conference League, I do believe. They'll finish very high in the table and will prove to the world and prove to all of Europe that they're a side to be reckoned with this year in Europe. So in 10th place then, I've got Lausanne Sport in the final team to miss out on the top 8 then in 9th place. This one could cause a bit of uproar in the comment section. However, in 9th place, also in 13 points, just a bit missing out on goal difference, I've got the side who constantly loses the final stage time and time again. They always lose the final. I've got Fiorentina here. Now, maybe that could cause a bit of uproar. However, do keep in mind the league phase really means nothing, of course. Fiorentina finishing 9th here, they could easily then go on to win the whole competition finally later on down the line. Of course, it doesn't really mean anything. However, they will be in the run for top 8, but I still do believe this Fiorentina side can be inconsistent. Yeah, it's got a couple of good players in there, such as David De Gea and Nats Moise Keane up top as well. Edin Dzeko's good experience there too in the team, but overall, I still do believe there's that inconsistency which lingers in this Fiorentina side. I'm going to say once again, it doesn't go away this year. I'm going to say it makes them struggle from time to time in the competition, and as a result here, I'll drop a couple of stupid points here and there, and ultimately that's going to cost them a place in the top 8 then, and they're going to have to settle for 9th place just narrowly, and we'll be forced then to go through the playoff phase before the round of 16. And now we finish off with the top 8. The sides who will qualify straight through the round of 16, starting off in 8th place. The side is just about going to pip Fiorentina to the spot, and maybe people will be believing this side should be a lot higher than this. However, I've actually got from England the European debutants in Crystal Palace here. Yes, now Crystal Palace, a side who are currently unbeaten for nearly 20 games in all competitions. A side who have just defeated Liverpool 2-1 at Selhurst Park thanks to an Eddie Nketiah last minute winner. I'm saying they will only finish as low as 8th, really? Well, keep this in mind, lads. This is Crystal Palace's first season in their history, I do believe it is, in a European competition. And so ultimately, they're going to be so good domestically. However, European football is a complete different ball game. Yes, they're in good form at the minute. However, they're eventually going to lose, which maybe could, put them into a bit of bad form just very, very briefly anyway, I guess you could say. I mean, I expect them to still do very good, obviously. I'm saying they'll finish in the top 8 still. However, I do believe they'll maybe start off well. Good few wins here and there. However, I do expect them to drop points, maybe a draw at home to AZ, maybe a loss against Strasbourg as well, will cost them a bit, and they will just about scrape through the top 8 by the skin of their teeth. But still, they're a very good side, well drilled by Oliver Glasner as well. They definitely should be the favourites this year, I do believe, overall to win the Conference League. And well, it's going to be a decent enough start to life in Europe as they'll qualify through the top 8, finishing with a minimum in 8th place then, just by getting through the likes of Fiorentina on Lausanne Sport on goal difference. And a 7th place then, another side will finish in 13 points. I've got Sparta Prague, definitely an impressive side in my opinion. However, they're going to top the bunch of 13-point teams and I'll finish in 7th place here. I do expect the Czech side to go far in this year's competition. In 6th place then, on 15 points, I've got the German side, FSV Mainz. I do believe Mainz are a decent side from the Bundesliga, and I'm expecting big things from them this year in the Conference League, and I'm going to say, similar to the likes of Crystal Palace in their first year in Europe for at least a very long time anyway, they will definitely succeed well and will start off their campaign very well by finishing in a top 8 spot. In 5th place then, on 16 points, this one could cause a bit of shock. However, I've actually got AEK Athens from Greece here. I do believe AEK Athens, I've got a pretty solid squad there, of course. Yes, there's no Anthony Martial anymore. He's off to Monterrey in Mexico, but still they're a very good side overall. Got a couple of very good, well-experienced forwards in there. They're well-experienced in European football too, and so ultimately I'm going to say this is going to be one of their best campaigns in Europe, at least by league phase standards, in a very long time. And the Greek side will definitely be very good throughout the entire league phase, and will finish then in a very respectable 5th place. In 4th place then, also on 16 points, I've got AZ Alkmaar here. AZ, very good side, once again well established at this sort of level of European football too. A couple of very good players in there, and watch out for the Irish talisman Troy Parrott. Whenever he's fit, he will score goals in this competition for sure. And so overall, for sure, AZ will once again prove time and time again, and will once again prove that they are a big side to be reckoned with in the Europa Conference League, finishing 4th place on 16 points. In 3rd place then, also on 16 points, I've actually got a Polish side finishing as high as 3rd. It is of course the biggest side coming from Poland. It is Legia Warsaw. I'm going to say we'll finish this high. Legia Warsaw, in my opinion, are a very good side. Now yes, they can be inconsistent like a couple of teams around them. However, I do believe this year we're going to see them play very good football in the Conference League, as they seem to do for the most part anyway. Of course, I do believe they actually went pretty far last year, might have even made it as far as the quarterfinals last year as well. So yeah, I mean, this Legia Warsaw side, a couple very good players there in around midfield and the forward line too. I do believe they definitely will do damage. I think they'll score plenty of goals like the other Polish teams this year in the Conference League, and I'm going to say they'll be very good at winning games as well. So ultimately then I'm going to say Legia Warsaw will cap off a very good league phase by finishing as high as 3rd. In 2nd place then, also in 16 points once again, I've got the Ukrainian side, Shakhtar Donetsk here. I do believe Shakhtar still have got a decent squad there, of course, at least at this level of European football, and unlike their predecessors, Dynamo Kiev, their rivals Dynamo Kiev, I do believe Shakhtar are definitely better than them at this stage. Yes, they lost their star player Kevin to Fulham there later on in the transfer window, but still, they've got a couple of very good talented players in there. They're still a well-drilled side, and in my opinion, they will do very good in the league phase this year. So in 2nd place, I got Shakhtar Donetsk, but in 1st place, on 18 points, 6 wins from 6, I'm predicting here. I've got the French side, Strasbourg, under Liam Rosanier, or should I say the Chelsea B team, because that is essentially what Strasbourg are becoming, isn't it? Like, however, Strasbourg, I do believe, coming into this year in the Europa Conference League, have a very strong squad there, obviously. And I think, combine those good players have already got, such as, Omega in the forward line as a striker, as well as, Diogo Moreira on the wings as well. Those two players definitely could cause havoc. Combine those players with the likes of, players coming through on loan from Chelsea, such as Julio Enciso, for example, the former Brighton and Paraguayan attacking midfielder. They definitely could do wonders in Europe this year too. Like Panners and goal definitely could be a decent loanee from Chelsea too. Overall, a couple of the Chelsea loanees will help massively the Strasbourg side, and in my opinion, Liam Rosanier is getting them playing some fantastic football at the minute. And so ultimately, lads, I'm going to say Strasbourg will stun everyone. They'll win all 6 of their games and will finish 1st place in the Conference League this year with 2 points to spare. However, does that mean they'll go on the full way and win the Conference League? Absolutely not. They'll do their job fantastically and 100% perfect in the league phase. However, the job, even at that, will still be far from done. Anyway, lads, I'm going to end it as Europa Conference League phase predictions. I hope you'll have enjoyed it, of course. What do you think of my predictions? What do you think of them? Are they good or are they bad? Am I stupid or am I very smart? Let me know in the comments below. As always, lads, remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new, click the bell, and share this video to as many people as possible. And so then, lads, I'll see you all in the next one here on KDFG.